Welcome and thank you for joining us. Today we'll be presenting our analysis of the opportunities and risks of the moving part of our manufacturing to one of two countries, either India or Vietnam. I'm Robert Hayes.
I'm Tarika Walji.
I'm Luis Casadesus.
I'm Hariklia Crisaridu.
So here's a brief overview of the global smartphone industry. Here we see a 2-year chart of the global market share. Huawei and Samsung are currently leading in the market. They both have 20% of the market share. We're in third place with 14% of the market share. The other companies have been slowly diminishing. So our assembly operations and manufacturing partners, our suppliers are Bosch, Cirrus, etc. They create the components, and those components get shipped to our assemblers. That's Foxconn, Pegatron, and Wistron. And then those assemblers bring everything together and assemble the final product. So what issues will we face if we don't diversify from China? Currently, 37% of iPhone shipments are to the North American market, and we're still assembling 90% of our products in China. This is a problem because there's currently a 15% tariff on imports from China in the US, and this could rise to 25% in the growing years, or in the coming years. Also, since 2009, we've increased our supply in China. Currently, 25% of the total manufacturing cost per iPhone is attributed to components that come from China, so we're very exposed to that market.
The first country we chose to analyze was India. As of now, India is the world's 9th largest economy with a GDP of 2.3 trillion. India is the world's 2nd largest smartphone manufacturer, and India is the United States' 8th largest trading partner. There are many opportunities if Apple decides to shift production to India. First, India is very experienced. In fact, it's the 2nd largest smartphone manufacturer in the world. Second, India's government is very supportive of this growing industry. They've made a lot of schemes and initiatives towards making this market even better. Third, the top 3 suppliers of Apple are now located in India or plan to be in the coming years. Fourth, the labor costs in India are much lower than they are in China. Fifth, India is located very close to China, which would make the transition of the supply chain much smoother. Sixth, there's a very large talent and skill pool in India, and tons of engineers and a lot of people younger than 25. And the last benefit is that the country's economic and national rankings continue to improve. There are also some risks for Apple to consider. First, India is known for its poor physical infrastructure. However, the government is aiming to have $1.4 trillion towards improving these circumstances. Second, the country is known to have an above average corruption rate. However, this is improving, and its CPI, which is the Corruption Perception Index, has increased by 2 points. Lastly, India is not known to have strong protections of its intellectual property laws. However, if Apple chooses to produce here, it can combat these issues by taking proper precautions.
We're going to do a case analysis for India versus the United States. We have the 4 differences: cultural, administrative, geographic, and economic. The first one is the cultural, so we can see the difference between India and the US. The official language, we share English. Ethnicity, pretty much different between both. Religion, very different as well. And then we have social norms, which coming from Global Dictionary, the book that we are reading for the class. We have some aspects comparing India and the United States, like directness, enthusiasm, assertiveness, self-promotion, formality, and personal disclosure. The administrative aspect, we have colonial ties, which India and the United States share British as a colonizers, and that could increase trading by 188%, which is a lot of common organizations like the UN, the G20, the World Bank. Then the currency, it's of course different, and corruption, as Sarika just said, it's high, it's going low, but it's still pretty high. Then the geographic, we have the distance, of course, same, pretty close to China and Vietnam, the other country we're going to talk about. The size, India is a big country. The location, already said that, and no border, no common border to United States, of course. Economics, it's growing. You can see the GDP and the GDP per capita of India and the US. US is a much bigger economy right now, but India is growing and has a big economy in general.
Vietnam is the second country we analyzed. It's an emerging country with growing GDP and a large manufacturing sector. Opportunities we have identified include, next slide please, low manufacturing and labor costs, up to 50% lower than China. Also, the country has knowledge and experience in the electronics and cell phone industries. It has been manufacturing cell phones for Nokia and Samsung the past years. Next is the key suppliers in the country. One is already established, Foxconn, and two more plan to enter the market by 2021, Pegatron and Wistron. Next is the political stability of the country. First, it has not been involved in any international or domestic conflicts the past years. Secondly, the government supports development and international investment by offering major tax savings. Next, the ease of doing business in Vietnam. Registration and factory setup are very easy, and the government signs multiple trade agreements to facilitate exporting. Last opportunity we identified is logistics. First, its geographical location next to China allows for sourcing potential shortages, and second, its Pacific coastline allows easy international exporting. We have also identified 6 main risks for manufacturing in Vietnam. Even though costs are lower than China, this leads to low output productivity. The average daily output per wage is up to 87% lower than China. Also, lack of human skills. Education system is not as advanced as China's. Next slide, please. Supplier availability is also weaker. In China, for example, many factories produce the same product in every city. That's not the case in Vietnam. Another risk is bad infrastructure, and this is expected since Vietnam has been an emerging country for fewer years, but the government supports infrastructure development with billions in investments in new highways and seaports. And it's also worth mentioning that international shipping is already the country's strongest competitive advantage. Finally, intellectual property rights and corruption are problems in Vietnam, just like most developing countries.
Doing a case analysis between Vietnam and the US, we have as well same order, cultural, there's no share in official language, a lot of English speakers in Vietnam, but it's not an official language. Totally different ethnicities, the religion as well, pretty different. Vietnam is a communist country, so it's officially atheist, but people believe in some different religions over there unofficially. Then the social norms, they are pretty different as well. So Vietnam is more pragmatic view, it's more accepting, they live in the here and now, and they look for authorities to make decisions. And the United States is more holistic view, they want to control the environment, they want to plan, and they want a better future, and they're for the self-determination. Then the administrative, there's no colonial ties, basically the same organizations as India, not like the G20 and some of the other ones, but pretty close. Currency, totally different. They have the dong, the Vietnamese dong, and the corruption is pretty high as well. World Bank did a survey, and they have 50% of people in Vietnam have paid to get things done, which is basically bribery. Then the geographic, the same area as China and India, so it's pretty close. It's a really small country compared to United States and India, and there's no clear border with us. Economics, as you can see, it's a small country, a small economic as well, only 245 billion compared to the 20 trillions of the United States. One important factor is that Vietnam is growing rapidly. It's actually one of the fastest in the area, with a 7% growth of GDP per year.
So our final analysis, reasons why we want to move away from China. China's GDP growth has been slowing since 2010. China is currently in a trade war with the US, and China's labor costs are increasing. Reasons why India and Vietnam are attractive locations. They're both physically close to China. They're both rapidly developing. They're both growing in their manufacturing sectors, and many of our suppliers are already in those countries. So our recommendation is India. India's size, India is a very large economy. They have a very educated population and they have a large land area. This means we'll have room to grow once we set up there. India has lower labor costs. Foxconn has already been producing iPhones at a lower cost than China in India, however in small batches. Trade relations, India and the US, India is the US is eighth largest trading partner. Experience, India is already the second largest producer of smartphones worldwide. They have a large manufacturing talent pool in India with over 300,000 engineers educated per year. 3 of our largest suppliers are already in India or will be there in the near future. And that concludes our recommendation. Thank you.